Hey students, this is Mr. Woodward. In this video, we're going to talk about graphing the same event sequence in different views. And by different views, I mean a position view and a velocity view. So starting at the top here, it says, show the following sequences of events in both a position versus time graph and a velocity versus time graph. Make sure the graphs line up with each other so that what's happening in the first graph is happening in the second simultaneously. Hint, remember that you can generate a velocity versus time graph by plotting the slope of a position versus time graph. Okay, so here are our two graphs down here. I'm calling this camera 1. It's the position versus time graph. So I'm going to go ahead and label this position. Camera 2 is velocity. All right, so we've got a sequence here with 4 events. So sequence number 1, it says starting in motion from a 0 position and slowing down in the positive direction. And then number 2, speeding up in the negative direction. And then number 3, moving in the positive direction at constant speed. And then number 4, resting. So this could be the motion of an athlete, of a ball, of all sorts of things. So I'm first going to break up the motion into the 4 time intervals. And so I'm going to say from here to here is the first time interval. This is the second time interval. This is the third time interval. This is the fourth time interval. And those are going to line up with the velocity view below. Time interval 1, time interval 2, time interval 3, time interval 4. Right, so remember that the x-axis is plotting time in both of these. All right, so here we go. The first time interval is going to be featuring this number 1 in the sequence, starting in motion from a 0 position and slowing down in the positive direction. That looks like this. Okay, I'm stopping right here, right after the first interval. Stopping here. All right, then number 2, speeding up in the negative direction. That looks like this. Then number 3, moving in the positive direction at constant speed. That would be something kind of like this. And then number 4, resting, means constant position. Okay, so again, this is 1. This is 2, this is 3, this is 4. And I'm going to show the separation with these dots. Okay? All right, well, what if I showed that same motion in velocity view? So now instead of showing where the object is, it's showing how fast and in what direction. So let me unclutter my picture. All right, let's try this in velocity view. So here we go. Remember that you can just graph the slopes. So let me exaggerate this one a little bit more. This is supposed to show a clear curve, and it wasn't super clear. That's a little bit clearer. Okay, so check this out. The slopes here, this is a large positive slope, a smaller positive slope, a small positive slope, and then by here, the slope is 0. So I know that at this point in time, if I'm just graphing the slope, I'm going to have 0 slope at that moment. And here, this large positive slope can be shown by a large positive number. And that's just going to decrease. So this first section would look like that. Okay, then if I continue graphing the slopes, right, now my slope is going to go from 0 here to a small negative number, a larger negative number, a very large negative number, because I have a very large negative slope there. So it's basically just going to go straight through like that. Then in section 3, I have a constant positive slope. So there needs to be some sort of acceleration that happens here where I'm gonna, in some moment in time, accelerate into positive land, and I'm now going to move at constant positive velocity for a little bit. And then in section 4, you'll notice that my slope is just here. My slope is 0. So in section 4, I'm going to have these, 0 values. So I've got to decelerate in some amount of time and get to 0. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, I should say here. And this is section 4. All right, real quick, I'm just going to interject. How come I don't have any like completely vertical lines in my picture? Like, why can't I go, from here straight up to here? Why can't I do that? And it's because a vertical line in this graph would mean that you are actually at two velocities, this velocity and this velocity, at the same time. You can't be at two velocities at once. So vertical lines are impossible in a velocity graph. What about in position view? Can you have a vertical line in position view? Well, let's say that at the end of this graph, I drew a vertical line. Well, in position view, a vertical line now means that you would have two positions here and here at the same time. And that's impossible as well. You can't be at two places at the same time. So no vertical lines in either of these graphs.